This is Tea and Cornbread in the street. We are at the Mattatuck Museum in Waterbury at the old school Black History Symposium. Check out our YouTube channel for a synopsis of what to expect today. But let me tell you, this is going to be a monumental event because this is the first time anybody's ever done this for Waterbury. So it's our Waterbury Black History Symposium. We got Tracy. We got our producer Kyle. Hey, what's up? What's up, y'all? Listen, the conversation of actual people that have experienced some things like the riots here in Waterbury. We had a time when one of the high schools wanted to be segregated and it was desegregated. We got Sean Mosley, the son of Maurice Mosley, that was one of the spearheads of putting this Black History Symposium together. What should we expect today?
Hopefully to hear it.
What should we expect?
Yeah,
because there's a lot of good information, a lot of history, and a lot of community.
So at this time, I would like to welcome all of you wonderful people to the first ever old school weekend panel here at the Mattatuck Museum. We are honored. We are deeply and sincerely honored to host this landmark event dedicated to educating and inspiring our community, and especially our youth, to connect with Black history on a deeper local level. We would like to start this afternoon's event with a prayer, and at this time I'm going to call on our Waterbury youth, my very own son, Donnelly Smallwood.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I will be saying the good morning prayer to all of you. Amen. Heavenly Father, we thank you for everyone that is gathered here, and we thank you for your presence with us. We thank you for allowing us to see this very blessed day. Today we ask that you allow us to be informed, inspired, and encouraged. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to turn this morning's events over. Well, first, before I do that, we'd like to honor all of you guys and make this time to come out and be here. We see Mayor Peruski in the back, also Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, and all of you. We're so thankful for your presence. I'm going to hand it over right now because without the visionary, there'd be no vision. And so we do have the visionary of this great momentous occasion here with us, the Honorable Judge Maurice Mosley, and we will hear the inspiration behind today's events. Let's give a round of applause.
Good morning. Good morning. Before I get to today's event, about 33 years ago in 1992, a few of us got together and we started a Granville Academy program. And the reason why I'm bringing it up, I was at the Y last week, and I was reading an article, and in the top business journal in the state, I saw an article about a Victor Gonzalez, one of our Granville graduates, who is the branch manager of NDT Bank in West Hartford. And there was a terrific story, and it's titled 40 Under 40. I will pass it around. Victor had to work today, but his mother and family are here, and I'd like for them to stand up. Okay, I know his mother's here. The reason why I'm bringing this up, over 33 years, hundreds of youngsters have gone through the Granville Academy, and everywhere I go now throughout the state, doctors, lawyers, engineers, they have done very well. And the ripple effect is thousands, meaning a couple of our youngsters are principals. They see thousands of youngsters a day. I know my son's here, he's assistant principal at Crosby High School, and he sees thousands a day. So really, the ripple effect of Granville has been thousands. And I would like those folks over the 33 years who have worked with Granville, who has put together, if they can stand up and give them a round of applause. The parents and the volunteers and the staff, I hope all the folks that have worked with the families over the last 33 years. And that's 33 years. Also, I have a confession to make. I'm guilty of being affirmative action, DEI beneficiary. I went to law school for free. Young people are very excited. They're very excited. But anyway, I went to law school for free. Work study for 3 years. I have to pay tuition. And in today's world, they're trying to change all that. They want to go back to what they call a WEI program. That's white, entitled, and inept. Okay? We can't let that happen, all right? And I think the first part of that is teaching our youngsters Black history. So what the ancestors did, and today we're going to talk about all those folks in Waterbury, like Neil Hoffler and Luther Backlund and so many others that opened doors for us. Now, where the vision came from, every morning I do a lot of praying, okay? And I recommend it. It's a good way to start the day, all right? And God gave me an assignment. He said, put a team together and deliver Black history to the community. And many people were there at the first meeting. We had about 20, 30 folks at the first meeting. And also, we had some young folks, they're around here now, Gabby and some others, said, hey, don't worry about it, we got it, okay? We'll coordinate it for you, because I don't know anything about social media. And they put things together, did a terrific job, these angels. Now let me tell you about the angel. Once God gives you an assignment, He also gives you the angels to help. The first angel, I should have wrote his name down, about 5 months ago, an old Italian guy called me and said, hey, he had Huey Williamson's scrapbook from the 60s. Huey was an activist. You'll see his picture. And I said, yeah, I would like to see the pictures. And the pictures blew me away. Now, I went to Staples to have them laminated, but they were so old, they couldn't be laminated. But those of you from New Haven know this guy, a guy named Darryl Drawn, who's an engineer, said, don't worry about it. We can digitize all these pictures. So that was the second angel, okay? And so we thought about doing civil rights in the 60s, because so much went on during the 60s in Waterbury, like the desegregation of Kennedy High School, the riots, so many things happened in the 60s that our youngsters and many folks here don't know about. So that's why we put together these panels. Also, I want to mention something else. A gentleman at the Y, well, great things come out of Waterbury. There was a gentleman at the Y I've talked to for the last 10 years, and he got his PhD recently, and we need to recognize him. I know Dr. Toby Lewis is in the audience somewhere. If he can stand up and raise his hand. Dr. Toby Lewis, you go to the right. Okay, you go to the right. He got a PhD. if they don't sell those at the bar, you have to work hard. And let me tell you something about working hard. I read these studies the last couple of years. I read these studies, and I was in a meeting 2 weeks ago, and one of my mentees, sophomore in college, said, I asked him how was college. It's hard. And then I told him about the studies. If you're going to be successful, at anything, and you make sure you tell the youngsters, it takes 10,000 hours or almost 10 years. Malcolm Gladwell did some studies. 10,000 hours or 10 years if you're going to be successful. And so that's a lot of hard work. Okay? I know right now I gave the vision, and now we're going to have the symposium. So we need to let the show get out of the room. Okay? I'd like to defer back to the MC. Eric has done a terrific job. Eric, you got it.
At this time, we are going to begin with our first panel discussion, and I'm going to call to the front our moderator for that, Jemiah Brunette. She is a sophomore at the University of New Haven, and she's formerly an intern here at the Mattatuck Museum. Let's give her a round of applause as she comes forward.
Hello everyone, how are you doing this morning? Nice to see your beautiful faces. So let's just get started now. Today we are joined by some of the most impactful voices who have shaped the culture and climate of Waterbury. From championing the racial integration of public schools to taking bold action in the basic injustice, these civil rights activists are bringing powerful stories that demonstrate without aggressive questioning that separate is not equal. Now, let's open the floor to our panelists, those who have witnessed history firsthand or carry the voices of those who came before them to share the truths that continue to shape our present. I'm going to give you a little bit of introduction. So, in the 60s, Waterbury faced a turning point as John F. Kennedy High School began the process of desegregation in schools. Despite its significance, very little information about this historic moment can be found online, which I've looked and I couldn't find anywhere, which makes today's panel especially meaningful. We are preserving and passing on this history directly from those who lived it to the youth and beyond. Now, I would like to introduce the guest panelists if they would like to come up to the stage. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Sharon Jacqueline Waldrum, PhD. Becky Beeman and David Conrad. It's great to have all of you here in the morning. So I'm just going to get right into it. My first question is, what was your experience or knowledge of the desegregation of Kennedy High School?
Hello? Good morning. I'm Sharon Gavin Waldron, and my father, Luther R. Gavin, was the president pro tem of the Board of Aldermen. And they were kind of testing him. You know, he had a bar. They told him, well, you can't have the bar, you be an alderman. And the alderman only made $20 a month. That's all the check. So, but they wanted him to give up his bar. Well, he changed and put the bar in my mother's name. So my mother became the permitting. And then they wanted him to quit his job. He got a job at NAPA. He started training children for the Job Corps. He was another workforce development or something program at NOW. And they told him, well, you can't do that because there's a conflict of interest with you having a federally funded job and getting this alderman money. So that's when he gave up being an alderman and gave them their $20. to make a longer story shorter, one of his fights was that Kennedy High School was going to be in a white neighborhood. And finally, he had argued with him and argued with him, and I think Reggie's father and Jimmy's mother, they were all in this fight together. But he finally said, and it was the headline of the paper, Gavin says Kennedy will be lily white over my dead body. And the other thing is to shut him up. I went to Walsh, as they went to Walsh. So they plucked the Walsh neighborhood out of all the rest and sent us to Kennedy. That's what fuss about.
You know, it's interesting, thank you, Doc. It's interesting because your dad was one of my heroes that I looked up to. And I say that from the heart because I was your paper boy at 7 and 9 Ward Street. I remember that very, very well, and reading the newspapers. And my dad, believe it or not, was one of the doorkeepers at the Citizens Club. So, and your dad always said that he always had the money right, so that makes me feel good. But Kennedy High School, that integration was a hell of a fight. And as much as there's so many people in here today, believe it or not, I was a little kid at the time, and Board of Aldermen was packed out with our people because the way it worked is the district lines. You had the Naugatuck River in the middle. Everyone on the west of the Naugatuck River was going to go to Kennedy High School. And guess what? There were only 3 black people, and I'm going to call them out. Kathy Hudson Cooper, Kathy Cooper, her dad was on the Board of Education. Deborah Wood, who lived down in Brooklyn, and now Dr. Richard Rowe, who's out in Nebraska. Those were the only 3 people that would have went to Kennedy High School. And not only your dad, but other people, and I don't want to mention a lot of names, I might forget somebody's family's in here, South Africa, they fought every Board of Education meeting, every Board of Aldermen meeting, to make sure that it was integrated. And just to add on to what Doctor said, they made us from Wall School take the bus, the city bus, so we had to pay, past the old Crosby High School, which was the police station, and you also could say past Willoughby High School to go up Highland Avenue, and whenever we were late, we had detention, and they kept us there. But they did it on purpose. They also transferred the 7th and 8th grade teachers to come to Kennedy High School because we have a new influx of, quote, Negroes, and we have to take care of those Negroes. And despite it all, I became the first class vice president class in 1969 that went for 4 years. And after I left, James Saunders became an elected official as well at Kennedy High School. So I give you, Jim John.
To talk about the years that since mom's gone, it's an amazing task for where I am today. I graduated from Watts Grammar School, predominantly a black school, in 1966. There was only 4 white kids there. And I had a shock when we were transferred and bused to Kennedy High School, where there was all white kids. Not only was I community shocked, because we all lived in our community, 3-family houses, 4-family houses, 6-family houses. Everyone in Kennedy High School up in Town Clock lived in a 1-family house. I've never seen that. And outside of that, we were riding the bus and they were driving to school. Parking lot full of cars, wasn't the teachers, it was the students. But I became the first black president of Kennedy High School, 416 students, 13 black. Give you my speech. Yes. But it was because of the studies that my mother did, who was a very stern, firm woman, who believed in education. She didn't hint about it. I remember the mayor, Ed Burton Sr., on my graduation day, spoke to me before we went on stage to receive my diploma, and he said, "Your mother's Lucille?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, she told me she's going to give you your diploma, not me." And that's who gave me my diploma. 1970. But the thing I want to close out with a little humor. My mother taught all of her children that we must have an education. And no matter what you get involved with, you be good at it. I happen to be in the funeral business, but I'm good at it. I've got a black kids that supported me, who understood that sometimes we get ready to go on vacation, and if someone, mother, father, sister, brother, grandmother, grandfather passed away, we cannot go. And they understood that. And I appreciated that. After all the years that I've been in business, and that is 48 years. Lovely wife. But one thing I've got to tell you to understand is what you learn in life makes your life. That's right. And I can sit across from individuals who are in their saddest, lowest moments. But I have a gift from God who gives me the strength and the wisdom to care and understand what they're going through and what they need. And I am so proud of that. And I pass it on to my kids. And to this day, I'm having some trouble with my eyesight. So my boys come down to the funeral home, help out me and my wife. And my son, Michael, who was there yesterday, writes out the contract, discusses things they need to know. And I sat across from him, my desk, so proud that we need to understand as parents, we must teach our kids to carry on. That's right. Because we're not going to be here forever. That's right. One last thing I want to say. I haven't seen Karen since Ward Street. Oh my God. Nice to see you again.
I think 54 years.
I got to tell my sister Alicia about you.
Thank you for sharing. That's beautiful. I honestly, I personally resonate with everything you're saying because my parents both went to Kennedy High School and they told me about their experiences. So having you guys pave the way, I'm very grateful. Love you guys. I have a question for all of you. So specifically, how did Black and white students and families and educators respond to the integration of Black and white students at Kennedy High School?
Wow. Take a moment to think about it. It was interesting because we had no problems with them, but they had a problem with us. So they you know, we were there to get our education. No matter what, we were going to get our education. And I remember one incident when I was a junior in my English class. The young lady, one of the guys from Walsh, said he really know her, said he had done some research the night before, and he found out that George Washington had slaves. And so one girl sitting in front of me said, oh, a white girl, said, oh, but he treated his slaves good and gave them good clothes. And that went, and I said, fine, you come home with me tonight, and I'll give you some good clothes. They left me alone.
By playing sports, by playing football and basketball, it kind of gave, and run a little track, it gave us opportunity to see the other side, the town plot side, the Bunker Hill side. Like, we were accepted to go to all their parties and all the rest of that, even though we wouldn't hardly go. We had our own thing going on. But one incident that sticks to my brain and never will leave is the fact that in contemporary issues, I won't call the teacher's name, but our class president got 100 on the exam. Our class vice president, who happened to be me, got 100 on the exam. Our class president got an A. The class vice president got a B. And so we were trading information one day. I said, hey man, what did you get? Oh, I got an A. And what did you get? I said, well, I got a B. So I went to the teacher, and I told the teacher, why is it that I get 100 and I get a B, but the other guy, they look like us, by the way, but the other guy, he gets an A. And he says, I didn't like your attitude. Stuff like that. It happened many, many times, but it didn't stop us. I like what Jimmy John talked about, training young people and the family. One thing Kennedy High School did for us is the fact that most of us were like family. We would stop on Wood and Walnut Street and go and stand in the bakery and get a donut, or in the campus restaurant. They didn't want us in there, but we would go in there in the campus restaurant. We'd take the bus together, and there'd be people working at CR&L, which was a bus company, or CLMP down on Freight Street. We had a chance to be integrated in a whole society where a lot of people did not have that opportunity. We'd be remiss if we didn't have anybody graduate from Kennedy High School here stand up. Oh, come on. All right. Hey, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It was an experience, and it was a good experience for us during that time, even though it was hard.
Again, I must tell you my experience at Kennedy High School from 1966 to 1970 was a learning experience. Nothing to be offended to the white people in this place. But I've never been around that many white folks. I was from the hood. So when you had classes and they sitting there, and I wasn't used to, I had a good friend named Danny Ward who told me to join his class. I joined the class not knowing what it was until I got there. It was Latin. And I could not get except one word, now we go. Because it was almost like Negro. But that was the only word I ever passed. Teacher would pass out the paper. Johnny, 85. Mary, 92. Susan, 97. Sanders, come get your paper. But I made it through. I made it through because I was determined to do what I had to do, not just for me, but for my mom. Because she was a hardcore, educated woman. and she wanted all of her children, 4 boys, 4 girls, to all get a good education. And that is one thing as parents that we must teach our kids, no matter where you go, if I'm paying for your education, you're going to be in attendance. Yes. No doubt about it. My son, who is now a sergeant and 18 years with the state police, JD, he's our oldest, he retires next year. He carried 2 guns now. And I remember when he was an infant, he was the one that you pampered because he sneezed. His mother would take him to the doctor. I don't care what he caught, take him to the doctor, emergency. Now the young man would jack you up, give you a ticket, or even better, arrest you. How proud can we be as parents if we have laid the rules down that your kids have followed and you see the results of it? You could walk with your head high, you could talk to them about them, you could go visit them and discuss with them about everyday occurrences, and they know what you're talking about. No slang in our house. You ate well, you did well, because you were loving and caring parents. And if anything I can leave with all of them is that that's one chance you got. Don't blow it.
You know, I just would like to say, just one more thing. We're here today because of all those freedom fighters who came before us. There's no way they weren't looking out for us. And I think that I really want to thank Maurice Mosley and his committee for putting this together. This is very important in our community. And I also want to speak in the context of the time. The context of the time was we came after all these activists went out there and did their thing. There were fights all over the place. There was fights to integrate the Waterbury Fire Department. You mentioned Bergen Sr. As I mentioned, I was your paper boy. And I remember in 1963 delivering the paper, and in the paper, and I would read it before I delivered it, by the way. But, I was the latest paper boy in the North End. After reading the paper one day, there was a quote. Mayor Bergen says he will not put Negroes on the fire department. Think that's something? This is 1963, after Kennedy was assassinated. It still is here. But that fight continued. As Gene Coleman just reminded me, Chicky Bird became the first black fighter. And then, almost 30 years later, or 25 years later, we had a fight to do a dual listing to have police and firemen that look like us. Things have not changed. They just went a different way. So when Maurice mentioned DEI, yes, we're going to keep fighting.
Everybody's done what tonight, so I'm going to try to squeeze in one more question. Just one of them. I promise it's good. Don't give me ideas. What advice would you give to young people today who are working to create equity and injustice in education and beyond?
You gotta tell everything.
I didn't tell her.
I'm going to say it, and then I'll shut my mouth. My wife told me don't speak long. We have a UConn football game. My son's having an anniversary party, but this is very important. What you have to do as young people is do what I did when I was young. I would go to Board of Alderman meeting, I was like 10 years old. I don't even see anybody any kids walking the street at 10 years old. All the little white guys would be in there smoking their cigars. They would say, what that little black kid doing here? All right. But anyway, you have to go and do what you should do. You have to do what you feel is right. But you're not doing it all by yourself, young sister. You have to join the NAACP. You should go to a Grandville Academy. You should do everything you can in order to lift yourself up and to never let anybody, you can tell your peers this, never let anybody tell you what you can't do. And it wasn't just at Kennedy High School. I'll be finished in a second. It wasn't just at Kennedy High School. Crosby High School was really no better. And they had more black kids in it than ever. I remember my older brother came home one day, and my mother and father, we used to sit at the table and eat dinner. And the counselor had told him that he could not be an engineer. Now, to be honest, I didn't know what an engineer was. My mother, God rest her soul, she didn't know what an engineer was. And she snapped back and she says, I don't know, but whatever you want to do, you can do it. You never let nobody push you aside. You keep your goals high and you go for your goals. That's my suggestion.
Now, those of you that know me know that I've been away from Waterbury for more than 50 years. But I left and went to North Carolina A&T because our only black teacher at all school was Dorothy Miller Moore. And when Miss Moore would talk to us, she nurtured us. Okay, so Mrs. Moore, she nurtured us. She had been to schools in the South, and she went to North Carolina A&T. But when she talked about North Carolina A&T, she had such a reverence in her voice. And what she said was, she went to North Carolina A&T College, okay? But at 10 years old, in Mrs. Moore's class, I said, that's who I'm gonna go. So for all of these 50 years, I have most of the time I have been at North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, North Carolina, except when I left to get my PhD. I say all of that to say this. Judge Mosley can tell you, when the academy came to Greensboro, I was the first one on the bus. I was taking them where this place, that place, whatever they needed, I took care of them. So I didn't forget what was home. I just was being at home, making sure they were home when they were there. The same with the students that came from here and lots of places. But what I do now is I make PhDs. I don't let them stop. You don't stop. You have people who get a PhD and then they won't help you. They're snobs, they're this and they're that. They're all that. Not me. Everybody in my class has the opportunity to get a PhD. I'm going to tell them how to do it. I'm going to teach them how to do it. And I'm going to tell them where the money is so that they can go and spend. A Jewish lady that I heard of, somebody asked her, what's your two little boys' names? They were about 3 and 4. And she said, the tall one is the doctor and the other one is the lawyer. This is how you operate your kids. Speak right into them. Speak to them so that they can know, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm not going to be a basketball player. Okay, well, you could, Shaq and all that stuff. But anyway, that's what we do. We speak this into our children starting from when they're 3, 4 years old. And when they get to me, I'm gonna make them a doctor.
I'm gonna end my segment with my children. My two boys mean the world to me and my wife, because they are an example of what I was taught, and they received it. And that is, if you come across discrimination, look beyond the color and try to find the good inside of that person. Look in their eyes. Don't look away when you speak with them. You don't have to curse them. You don't have to loud talk them. As my grandmother and my mother taught us, and I taught my boys, listen. That's all you have to do. Sometimes you don't need to say nothing. Just listen. And that will tell the whole story. How to handle them, how to control them, and what they think of you. Because when they depart from you, it's what they think of you that is important. Not what you think of them, because they may act like a buckle, but it's what they think of you. And I find that in my business, if a family looks at me the right way, when they come in and see their loved one for the first time in that state, sometimes it's just a wink. Sometimes it's just a nod. Sometimes it's just a squeezing of my hand. But they have spoke many, many words to me. And I thank God for that gift. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Will definitely come in handy on my journey in college. So I'm going to ask you to remain on stage for a moment. So at this time, if anyone has any questions in the audience, please raise your hand. We'll give you a mic. Does anybody have questions for the panelists? Going once, going twice. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Oh. Do we have a question?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I know we got questions here, but we'll be real quick. In your infinite wisdom, first I give honor to Judge Moster and the administrators and what they left behind. My daughter, Diana, went to Kennedy and graduated. Thank you. And I didn't know the history of Kennedy because my brother went to Kennedy. And I didn't know the struggles that you guys went through to be at Kennedy. Our congresswoman was instrumental because I was parochial school trained. So I didn't know public school. So our congresswoman, before she was a congresswoman, but she was always a congresswoman in my mind, she would take me aside and she would deliver the message. So in your wisdom, for parents who are struggling these days to just keep their head above water, to keep their kids on the right path, what would each one of you say to them in this moment, in this time, where we're dealing with such stuff that we dealt with before? What is your wisdom for them?
Me first.
Thanks, Wendy, for putting me on the spot. My advice is simple: keep the faith, keep praying. Don't isolate yourself. There are no silos in our movement. Everyone has to look out for each other as the older people looked out for us, and we're trying to look out for the younger people. I think that we really have to understand and get back to what being a family really is. You know, we spend too much time on this stuff and cell phones, and we're not talking to each other. You know, I taught state and local government for 15 years, and these are college students, and they're out in the hallways on their cell phones, and they're not even talking to each other. One night it made me change my whole lecture as to what you see around you is very important. These young people, they need mentors, they need mentees. The old expression, it takes a village to raise a child. So we have to make sure we're that village, that we're there for these young people. You know, sometimes I get, in what I do, we have a reentry center at our lower level, and I see young people coming out of incarceration. And I say to myself sometimes, if they only just stayed in school, if they only did some other things, if they saw the difference between the streets, incarceration, it maybe would make a big difference. But maybe they did not have a good mentorship. I always use that. You know, parenting is mentoring as well. And they need good role models, and good role examples. So we looked up to these older people. We looked up to our ancestors. And I think that that's something that has to come back. That's my advice.
We do have a comment over here before we continue.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My comment is that I went to a parochial school. I was in Waterbury Catholic High School for girls and we worked with Holy Cross, the class of '76. So there was about 5 black students, including myself, although I thought because being Cape Verdean, they said I wasn't black. The blacks said I wasn't black, and the whites said they took okay because I'm not black. So it was confusing, but you know, we had a lot of discrimination, but I was in the arts, so I passed because I was always in dramatics and choir and all that, chorus and all that stuff. But I just want to say, to God be the glory for the great things He has done to my family, like Judge Manson, my son Victor Gonzalez. He comes from a one-parent, single parent with 6 kids. I mean, you know, in a drug-infested area. So you always have to keep your kids close to you, and even though it's rough, but all you have to do is that perseverance, that consistency. Always make sure they're doing stuff right. I mean, some of them went rogue, but they came back to the Lord. You know, so thank God for that. Some of them came, you know, 2 out of 6 ain't bad, right thing. But I did. And he's a twin, and his twin, he works for Charles Schwab. He's also higher up in that category. I'm trying to figure out what this was. But my thing is just listen to your children. That's what you have to do now. Listen to your children. Take that phone away. Have family time. Have game night. Just go back to loving them, so that way they know that mom and dad got their back. You know, even if you're a single parent, just love them a little bit more and stuff like that. So, you know, that's all I can do. And thank you for that.
I just want to elaborate on what she just said and the person before. I believe that with your kids, your children, boy or girls, you should have a relationship with them. They should feel comfortable around you no matter where they are. In the public, my boys still hug me, kiss me, don't care if they're with their friends or what. How do I give them strength? That when I am worried and I am bothered, I don't let them see that. I want them to see the strength that the Lord has placed in me. And you will see how it generates to them. It isn't about yelling. It isn't about fussing or wrapping them around the neck. You did that when they were kids. You beat them. You understand? One time my boy, oldest boy, came home from college. And he decided he was going to run my household. So we had an argument. And he runs up to his bedroom, slams the door. Normally I go there, or Annie goes there, we knock on the door, they come in. But I opened that door and walked in. And he's up there packing stuff away. He says, I got friends that'll take care of me better than you. Well, you need to go to your friends. I'm going to them. And he was putting this away. I said, wait a minute. You ain't brought nothing in here. You should be happy I'm letting you leave here with the clothes you got on your back. And it never happened again.
Good afternoon, thank you. This was a great presentation. Two things stood out for me. First of all, to your initial point, you tried to look this up and you couldn't find any of this information. I hope there's going to be an effort to not only preserve this, but to make it available. All of the photos, all of the newspaper articles, the testimonials, everything, because we are in an era where every effort is made to erase, whitewash, diminish history. And this is a part of history that needs to be known so that we can make informed decisions moving forward. You guys didn't talk a lot about this, but basically, to your point, Mr. Bean, this was de facto segregation. You couldn't just come out and say, we don't want the black kids going to the school, so what you do is draw neighborhood lines and say, this neighborhood will go here, and this neighborhood will go here. So this didn't happen because someone gave the black community in Waterbury permission to do it. It didn't happen because a federal budget was allocated, because the mayor gave permission. It happened because of mobilization from the community up. Yes. So can you talk a little bit more about what actions were taken specifically in the community, whether it were the churches, the families, the civic organizations, to change public sentiment and push the needle? Because it wasn't like a bad headline came out and Mayor Bergen said, you know what, actually we will change the lines for Kennedy High School. It didn't come down, it came up. And I think literally that is the moment we're in, where they were operating within the framework of the law by saying, no, we're building a school in this neighborhood and these 200 streets will go to the school. So on paper, it doesn't look like it is intentional surgical segregation, but the people who lived here felt it that way. So can you talk a little bit more about specifically, what mobilization efforts were happening in our community to force this outcome? And if you haven't already figured it out, there's a little bit of an agenda behind the question that I'm asking, because it is prescriptive in this moment.
Thank you, Congresswoman, for that question. Without the mobilization of Google Gatton, K. Ryder, I'm gonna miss some people, so I better stop saying what I'm saying. But it was a groundswell. I was a kid at the time. It was a groundswell. All of us young people, we had to go to a meeting. We had to go to protest. What I hear? The Pride Center. Everybody embraced this. The drawing of lines reminds me of today's redistricting in so many different places where they just want to change things to exclude people so they can't get re-elected. Many can never get elected, but we'll see what happens with that. But the same thing happened here in Waterbury. It wasn't too much different, but it was a groundswell. It was people, not the folks on top all the time, little people who worked in schools, who came home and took a bath. They didn't have showers back then, and went to a Board of Alderman meeting, or went to a Board of Education meeting, or had almost seminars like this in the back of bars like the Elks. They were in the Elks. A little bit of Johnny Walker Red and a cigar, but them days you'll never forget because there was a groundswell of support. So to answer your question, everybody was engaged. That was something that we felt was just as important as folks in the South integrating a lunch counter. That's the way we felt here. And what happened from that is that all of us then felt that we should carry this on. Remember the riots, which will be, I guess, the next panel, started in 1967, 1968. Kennedy High School was already integrated at that time. But there was a feeling in this time, and there was up here earlier, some of the names were up there, that black folks were getting too much because we were organized. That's what scares the oppressor more than anything else. Organization, quiet organization, where nobody knows what you're doing, and you just come out and do it. Finally, every year there's an election. And the old guys, I mentioned his name, King David Holmes and Haskell Holmes, there was just so many people. Bill Lacey and all, they would say we're going to register as many people to vote, and then we ain't going to vote. And so here I am, a kid, I'm saying, why not? We're not going to vote. I said, sometimes you just got to let them know you have the votes. And they can turn on you at any time. So it was a groundswell. It was something that was organic. That's we probably won't see that again. Not in the same way. Let me make my point. We probably won't see that again because, as Barack Obama said, the movement's not on Facebook and Instagram where you just like something and think that's okay. No, the movement is getting out there, moving, mobilizing, supporting each other, raising money, sending your kids to college, making sure that everything goes the way we grew up. That's what I mean by that. The revolution is not going to be up here. The revolution's on the street.
Thank you.
I just want to say one thing. And to answer the Congresswoman's request, her question, I'm listening to the responses from this panel. And one word I did not hear, and that is that we do not have today leaders of yesterday. Leaders who took the right. They didn't care whether they were jailed, they didn't care whether they were in the newspaper, whether they were talked about. They took a stand on something that they believed in, truly, that would better their people. And that's what we need to do today. We need to seek these leaders out and tell them that don't be afraid. We need you to speak sometimes and lift our voices up so you are heard above the crowd so we can get a result from your actions. Thank you.
I'm sorry, we don't have the time right now. I'm sorry. Feel free to find these amazing folks afterwards to ask your questions, but we're going to move on to the next. So once again, please give a round of applause to our speakers, Dr. Sharon Gatlin, Reverend Beekman, and Jimmy Sanders. We can now head back to your seats. Thank you, everyone. Turn the microphone over to Eric.
Thank you to our lovely moderator, Jemiah Brunette. She's did an awesome job. And thank you again to all of our distinguished panelists and all those of you who chose to participate. We honor your questions. And again, just to reiterate what she said, feel free to find these wonderful folks after and connect with them and ask for any further questions. At this time, we're moving into our second segment.